Here is a 2024 Chevrolet Trax 2RS with mosaic black exterior, jet black interior, and red accents. The RS, that's going to be more of a sporty design. The Trax, it's all new, it's wider, it's longer, getting from a subcompact to more of a compact SUV. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm gonna go over some comparison. What you're getting with the all-new design from the exterior and the interior, take it for a drive and go over some pros and cons. It's 2 inches wider than the prior gen. It's a more bold, modern twist. The grille has been reshaped. The Active will have its own unique styling for the grille. It will have the black interior with the titanium chrome accents, whereas the RS will just have the black grille and unique badging inside, giving a similar contrast to the Trailblazer and the larger Blazer that works into the daytime runnings. Standard LED. Headlamp assembly will be LED. The lower gets the gloss black that's going to run around it with the RS badging that's going to be unique throughout the vehicle. It's lifted up at 7.3 inches of clearance, and the way it projects itself, comparing it to a Honda CR-V, it's going to have more of an athletic approach to it. It's 11 inches longer than the prior gen, standard updated safety from Chevrolet, which gets automatic emergency braking, forward collision alert, front pedestrian braking, forward distance indicator, lane keep assist with lane departure warning, and Intella high beam, which will lower or raise your high beams when there's a vehicle that it sensors. Wheel design starts as low as 17 inch. This is the RS, so we're getting 19 inch black painted machine wheels, 5.1 inches longer than the Trailblazer, and because of the paint, everything is going to either be the matte or the gloss black. So the side view mirror housing has more of a two-tone effect. The same with the lower skirt and the roof rails. No shark fin antenna, which, because this is a complete refresh, I would have liked to see that. Plus, I would have liked to see, instead of having a torsion beam, a multi-link rear suspension. The front is still going to be a McPherson strut suspension layout. Engine options, you only get one. The 1.2 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder, 137 horsepower, 162 pound-feet of torque paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission. This is the base engine option for the Trailblazer, only can be optioned for front-wheel drive when you're going into the Trax. Whereas the Trailblazer, you can option a couple different engines, you can get a CVT transmission, and you can have all-wheel drive. But this one, because of the length increase, you'll have about 3 inches more leg room in the rear. You'll have a little bit more cargo in the Trailblazer, but it's wider, so it's going to feel more airy and open. More tech rich and driver focus is what the Trax is going after. 28 MPGs for the city, 32 MPGs for the highway. LED taillights, so with the grille pattern underneath it, the lower bumper gets the grille pattern in between. RS badging. As a comparison against the Mazda CX-30, this one's gonna sit up a little bit more so. You're gonna have less blind spots because it's a little bit larger of a window. Has a bit more of a flare out. Very similar to a hatchback design for a compact SUV. Cargo starts at 25.6 cubic feet with a privacy cover. Underneath the floor gets a spare tire, and it goes all the way to the wheel wells with a storage nook on the side. Split fold the rear bench at a 40-60 split that will increase the cargo to 54.1 cubic feet. It sits low. It's still about 0.2 cubic feet less than the Trailblazer. Going inside, 6-way manual seat adjustment for the driver, heated front seats, RS badging, contrast stitching, and piping. It's perforated. The passenger will get 4-way manual seat adjustments. Climbing inside for the start. Headroom at 39.6 inches, which is going to be about an inch more for interior front space than the Trailblazer. Leg space is at 38.1 inches, and the footwells are a little bit wider because the whole interior is also widened. And immediately you'll notice the tech-driven driver focus setup. It's more sporty than the prior gen, similar to the Blazer and Trailblazer mix, with the new 11-inch diagonal advanced color touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, HD radio, Wi-Fi hotspot, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio. Put it into reverse with a reverse camera with full trajectory, and the lines expand when you turn the wheel. 8-inch digital gauge cluster for the driver. Standard will be a 3.5-inch. And because this is the RS, flat bottom steering wheel with the contrast stitching, perforated, heated, multi-function, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, the push button start with the gloss black. You'll have a climate control which comes standard on the RS. Otherwise it will be a manual adjustment. Optional wireless charging pad is on any trim level. Leather around the gear lever, and you get the satin aluminum that's going to polish around it. And the key fob, which is derived out of the Cadillac parts bin, as you can tell from the exterior of it. So I like that they're doing that. Storage pocket right here. It's going to be more sporty. Open up inside and it's a deep storage pocket. It is pushed back. Everything reworked, giving a more airy and cleaner interior design. The door panels get more of the everyday material found pretty much everywhere except for right in here with the contrast stitching, and you get the gloss black that's going to surround the 6-speaker setup. Storage pocket, you can fit a couple of bottles inside. For the back seats, headroom at 41.9 inches. Legroom at 38.7 inches. Because of them widening out the vehicle, it makes it a lot more spacious in the back. USB ports, because this is the RS, with a storage container here and storage behind the passenger seat. The door panel gets everyday material everywhere. So no vinyl, no contrast stitching, no gloss black, and the storage pocket can fit a beverage inside. Moving into the center is easy because the floor is more or less flat. Feet space is good because you can see the rails are pushed up. The same thing with leg space, and I'm at 6'3". But in shoulder space will be shared, but it's not going to be as much as Blazer. And for headroom, you can still fit in the center. 1.2 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder, 137 horsepower, 162 pound-feet of torque. The nice thing here is it's a 6-speed automatic transmission instead of a CVT transmission, which is what the Trailblazer comes in the base engine option. You can get a couple different options for the Trailblazer, and you can option all-wheel drive. Here you can only have front-wheel drive. Let's see how that motivation looks. Actually feels pretty peppy. You sit kind of low, it feels sleek. It does feel more tech-driven and driver-focused the way the layout is. Everything is really close, which even if I move the seat back, it's still doable. Going against comparable rivals like the Honda CR-V, this is going to feel a lot more hip and youthful, where that one's a little bit more grown up, especially in the interior. When you get into the RS, the flat bottom steering wheel also just changes the whole dynamic layout for the interior, because you're going to have some more gloss black elements, the red that contrasts and accents throughout the dash and the seats. I mean, overall, it just feels more sporty, even though underneath the hood, it's not as athletic. Now that's gonna take me to some pros and cons about the new Trax. Inside, excellent job. More room for everybody to fit. When you get to the CX-30 Mazda, it does have more room than the Mazda 3 hatch, and it's basically the same vehicle, just lifted up. But here is kind of the blend of hatchback SUV feel. So you don't feel as traditional. It's a little bit sloped for the roofline, even though you don't lose headspace. For the front occupants, it's more clean. Comparing this to the last gen for 2022, it was just getting really outdated. They didn't even do a 23 model, and I'm glad they held off because the refresh really nailed it. Exterior, I like that it's wider. It looks more bold and it looks more athletic any corner that you look at this vehicle. When you go into the Honda CR-V, they went to the grown-up side. So if you want more of that sporty feel, you're gonna wanna go to the new Trax. Some things I dislike, they didn't change the suspension layout. You still get the torsion beam. You only get one engine option. Front wheel drive is the only way you can option this. They increased everything in the length, the width, you get great ground clearance, but then some of the essence that would have made this vehicle just go off the charts, they said, well, we're gonna hold back. Hopefully, it's something that they may entertain later on down the road. There's no talks about it, but it would be nice to see a more powerful variant, especially when you're in the RS or the Active. I like that you can option features like the wireless charger or the moonroof, whereas when you get into the Honda CR-V, you have to go to a different trim level in order to even get those features. Turn radius at more or less a stop point is going to receive about 2 and a part lane. Let's rock and roll. And some dynamics. The steering wheel is pretty light, so for an everyday drive, it ticks the box. Upgraded wheels, you don't feel any imperfections on the roads. It just kind of glides. The seat comfort is good. It's not so wide, but when you're in these smaller vehicles, you're not expecting it to be too big because then it would just be too much for the cabin. Sound deadening, you have standard active noise cancellation. That's something that just blows my mind because this starts at just a hair over $20,000, this vehicle. So when you're considering other options, you have to start saying, well, it's gonna be $25,000, $30,000. So you already got the savings here. Now what we're gonna do is slow down, and we're gonna do it around 30 to see how that turbo kicks in. It's not gonna throw you back, but you're not gonna expect that either. It doesn't have crazy pound-feet of torque. Getting up onto the interstate shouldn't be a problem. Your 0 to 60 numbers are in the 8-second margin. More dynamic, driver-focused, tech-rich, bolder exterior. You have some of that maneuverability in which you didn't have that fun-to-drive spirit. You now have it in the Trax. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the merchandise website, Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I like to thank Regal Chevy for giving us this 2024 Chevrolet Trax 2RS for our car review.